All right, good morning, everyone. I am really excited to see so many people joining this session. My name's Beth Statz. I am a outreach and instruction librarian with Minitex, which is based at the University of Minnesota. We're a program of the University of Minnesota Libraries. And what I do is administer, license, promote some free resources for Minnesota residents. Before I begin though, I do have a poll and I think Megan was gonna pop that up
Yes,
for me.
the poll has been launched, so you should see it on your screen. It's just one question. And so you just click submit after you answer the first question.
And this is just to kind of give me an idea of who may be familiar with eLibrary Minnesota. I know some of you may have used it, but you're not sure. Okay, so it looks like this is just what I thought. The majority of you have not used it. Okay, thank you for responding to that. Some of you are not sure. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of be doing a lot of talking because there's so much that I want to share with you. And it's really up to you to take the information that I'm going to share and bring it back to, your office, your work, your colleagues, your students. And I know that you will find these resources beneficial. So these resources you can see in the bottom of the screen, ELM. So it's called eLibrary Minnesota. This is a huge suite of a bunch of different research and information databases, including about 10,000 ebooks that are paid for partially by our tax dollars. They are accessible to all Minnesota residents, and they come from these different companies. And they're listed on this slide. Britannica, we think of encyclopedia information. Capstone is a Minnesota company that we have purchased a license for. It's a K-5 database. Some of you may be familiar with EBSCO. They're one of the largest database producers probably in the country. Gale and Cengage, and then ProQuest. ELM is brought to you by your local library or school media center, Minitex, State Library Services, with state appropriations to the Minnesota Office of Higher Education and the Minnesota Department of Education. So eLibrary Minnesota, which you'll hear me refer to as ELM, has been around for about 15 to 20 years now. And we're constantly asking for funding increases to make it better, bigger, and more robust. Part of ELM is something called eBooks Minnesota. And this is a statewide ebook collection that gives Minnesota residents access to thousands of ebooks. This is different than what you might use through your local public library. So this is not Libby or I can't think of the other name for but I think Libby is pretty common these days through public libraries. The difference with eBooks Minnesota is that you don't need any login or anything. As long as you're in Minnesota, you can go directly to ebooksmn.org and access the collection. So a couple things I'll point out. I would say 2/3 of the collection in eBooks Minnesota is aimed at grades K-8. The books in this ebook collection are licensed with an unlimited, simultaneous, and permanent access for most titles, meaning you can have 30 people reading the same book at the same time. So there's no checkouts, there's no holds, there's no wait lists. There is an app that you can download. I'm not going to get super into the weeds today just because I have limited time. But you can reach out to me with any questions about any of this. So it's different than that Libby that you use through your local public library, and that there's no wait lists. There are some bestsellers, there's some, I mean, there's just all sorts of content, lots of books about Minnesota by Minnesota authors. We do have about 200 books published by the Mayo Clinic Press, which is really nice. They wanted to be part of eBooks Minnesota, so they offered us these books at no cost. So lots of history, Minnesota. There's a huge collection of graphic novels. There's a lot of award winners, including some Minnesota Book Award winners. We've got a lot of languages other than English, including about 500 Spanish language books. We've got a few Somalis, maybe a couple Hmong, a few French, a few Arabic. Yeah, and I can put, to get directly to, I'm just going to put it in the chat. To get directly to eBooks Minnesota, it's ebooksmn.org. And there's also a lot of diverse titles. Right now, I think the collection is about 11% DEIA, and we are continuously trying to grow that. Okay, so that's one of the things I want to talk about. Now I'm going to kind of shift gears and talk about ELM as this larger umbrella, and eBooks Minnesota falls under that larger umbrella. So what are some of the things you can find in ELM? Well, ebooks, as I just mentioned, but you can also access full text magazine, journal, newspaper articles. We can go in. There are no audio books. I just saw that question. No audio books available. They are just so expensive that we really don't have the funding to add those at this point. But you can access like today's issue of the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, the LA Times, the Chicago Tribune. We can access yesterday's issue of the Star Tribune. There's also some other Minnesota newspapers, I think like the Duluth News Tribune. So some other full text newspapers that are available. There are also thousands of full text reference books and encyclopedia articles, and these are for all ages. The databases are sort of organized by age group, which I'll point out when I go into what's called the ELM portal. You can also access primary source documents, multimedia, all sorts of images, videos. There are maps. There are a lot of public radio broadcast transcripts. In these databases, there are also different research tools and resources that you can use. There's a lot of consumer information and product reviews, including consumer reports is full text in one of the databases. So someone's asking, are there any ESL books, specifically graded readers? That's something, I'm not super familiar with ESL books, but that is something that you might want to take a look in eBooks Minnesota. You can do a search by subject, but there may be some in that collection. There are also, let's see, career and test prep. So I am doing a session tomorrow at the conference that is called Learning Express Library. Oh, correct. We need something very controlled without access to outside links. Would this work? Some of the databases like eBooks Minnesota would work, but some of the databases will link to websites. Granted, these are vetted websites, chosen specifically by librarians, but when you're in a database, there are options to, I think, link out to different websites. You'll get a better idea once we go into one of the databases. But okay, so career and test prep, all sorts of different test prep, whether it's the ACT, the AccuPlacer, the GED, and I am doing a session tomorrow on Learning Express Library, if that's something you're interested in. About 500, well, there are Spanish language resources in eBooks Minnesota. There's about 500 Spanish language books. And I'll show you some of the translation tools, etc. when we get in. I find Learning Express Library very helpful for one-on-one GED test prep. Great. Yeah. And then there's also some health and drug info available as well. As far as accessing Elm goes, I really think the best way is to go directly to eLibraryMN.org. This is going to take you right to the Elm portal. And as long as you're coming in from Minnesota, you're geographically based in Minnesota, you should be able to get directly in. It does sort of look at, doesn't use exact geolocation, but it does look at the IP that you're coming in from to make sure that you are indeed a Minnesota resident. If you're out of state, you can access all of these resources through your public library's website, but you will need your library card to authenticate. I'm just going to stop and ask if there are any questions about access. So as long as you're physically located in Minnesota, you can get directly in. It might ask you to, you might have to click on, double check my location or something, but it should let you in. If you ever have any issues, please contact us, and you can see in the upper right corner of the screen here on the Elm portal, it says contact. Just let us know what's going on, and we will get things worked out. But then I also mentioned you can set up direct links from your public library's website, your institution's website, your school's website. Some schools already have links set up. In fact, probably the majority of schools, hopefully in Minnesota. Okay, so all of these databases, I mean, some of them look different, some of, they all have different, I guess, display options. And that just depends on the company that creates them. Searching is always going to be the same. You can always type in a search term or phrase. You can always browse broader subject areas and kind of drill down to a specific topic. But on this slide, I just want to highlight some of the common tools. So these tools you're going to find in all of the different databases, including eBooks Minnesota. So you can always print the information. You always have the option to email articles or information. You always have a citation option where you can click on cite, and it'll usually give you like the MLA, the APA, maybe Chicago, the different citation styles for whatever article you are viewing. And then it's just a matter of copying and pasting that into a bibliography. You can also easily save and share articles to Google Drive and or Google Classroom, as well as Microsoft OneNote. Articles can easily be downloaded to save on your desktop or wherever you might want to save them. All of the databases offer something called, well, it's always called something different, but it's read speaker, read aloud, or text to speech. And this is where you can have the computer read the article to you. This is available in probably 90% of the books in eBooks Minnesota, where you can have your computer read the book to you and it will highlight the text as it's reading. On this is just an example sort of in the box on the screen here of just one of the different sort of read speaker functions. So we can click when we're in an article, we can click listen, we can change the settings, we can change the reading voice. Maybe we want a male rather than a female reading voice. A lot of times you can change the speed that they're reading. A lot of times they also offer different, like an Australian accent or a British accent. You can enlarge the text in a lot of them. You can also download these as MP3 files. Let's see what else. A lot of databases offer the option to favorite or add articles to a folder. So if you're doing a bunch of research, you can just click on the little yellow folder and it will add a bunch of articles to a folder, which you can then sort of bulk email or download those. All of the databases offer the option to translate an article into one of many, many, many different languages. Again, these are computer generated translations, so they will not be perfect. You can always increase and decrease the font for readability. And then your search term that you typed into the database originally will be highlighted. So you can kind of identify within the article where the information that you're looking for might be. Some of the less common tools that are available in just certain databases. Reading levels. So up in the right-hand corner, you can see some databases, especially I think Britannica offers these different reading level indicators. So reading level 1 would be elementary, 2 middle school, 3 high school level. A lot of databases also offer little icons that identify the content level of the material. Most articles will tell you the length or how many words they are. For those of you that use Lexile level, a lot of articles are shown in there. They identify a Lexile measure. A lot of, let's see, highlights and notes, a lot of databases, including eBooks Minnesota, you can highlight different paragraphs or sentences and then create notes within those highlights and share them to Google Drive. You can change background colors a lot for readability. Some databases offer specialized fonts, and this is just an example here. And again, this is for readability. There's, Open Dyslexic. You can change the colors of the text or the background. You can change the line spacing, the letter spacing, as well as the word spacing in some of the databases. Let's see what else. There's also a lot of times in a database, you can double click on a word and it will pop up a dictionary definition. Let's see, there are also sometimes leveled articles. So you might see an article on alligators for the middle school level, and then you can just pop over, see that same article for the high school level. Topic finder, I'm not going to mention that. Okay, so any questions before I go into the Elm portal? Yeah, I will show you where that is. Someone's asking, is there a list of databases available? So I'm going to go ahead and just go to the portal here. So this is what we call the Elm portal, eLibraryMN.org. We've got some information here for educators and librarians. If you're ever having problems or questions, don't hesitate to contact us. We love hearing from people. We love helping people. That's what we're here to do. Lots of different ways you can get into all of the databases, but the question was, is there a list of databases available? And that is going to be this alphabetical all resources tab. So when we click on that, we've got a list of the 59 different databases found in Elm. From here, we can kind of filter them by particular topic, by the type of content we want. Maybe we're just looking for consumer reports, or maybe we're looking for literary criticisms. And what else are some of our primary sources? Science experiments, state information, sound files. So it's really kind of just a matter of figuring out what you're looking for. And then drilling down from there. So let's just say, how about we're looking for language, arts, and literature. And maybe I'm looking for biographies. So here we've got 8 databases that are going to probably have that information that we're looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and just go into this first one, Gale in Context High School. So this is, there's 2 Gale in Context databases available to us. One is called high school, one is called middle school. Just for demo purposes, I'm just going to use this one. So like most databases, you're going to get a search box. This is where you're going to enter your search terms, very similar to Google. Otherwise, we can sort of browse through different sort of timely topics. And if we scroll down further, we have a better option of browsing, you know, so maybe we're just looking for, oh, I don't know, information on some social issues. And how about, oh, endangered species. So we've drilled down, we are now reading an article. So this is going to be an overview, it looks like, of endangered species, but I can scroll down further and see, oh, I can access 108 reference documents on this topic. I can access some academic journals. I can access audio clips, newspaper articles. I think I'm gonna just, yeah, let's take a look at the news articles on endangered species. And so here I've got those 6,300 news articles. They are sorted by relevance, and I'm pointing out here some common things that you will see in these databases. I personally like seeing the most recent article first, and that's just my personal choice. So I'm going to select newest, and it's going to resort them. And the newest article around endangered species looks like it's from this publication, News RX Health, and it's called Scientists Using New Sound Tech to Save Animals from Extinction. These little domino looking things are the content level. So this is going to be a more advanced article, it's level 5. And it was published, well, it's published August 14th, or I'm sorry, August 18th. So that's in, I guess, 4 days from now. One thing to keep in mind is that when you are using the publications in these databases, in most cases, you are going to see this information before, you know, whoever might subscribe to the print copy has it in their mailbox. And this is true for anything from reading teacher to school library journal to the Star Tribune to Runners. I may have already said Runner's World. What else? I mean, Forbes, Time, Newsweek. There's thousands of education related publications in these databases. But I'm going to go ahead and just go in so you guys have an idea of what an article looks like. Okay, so this is Scientists Using New Sound Tech to Save Animals from Extinction. It's from this publication. It's an article. It's about 449 words. We've got the Lexile level for those of you that might use it. Here along just above the top of the article, we have our translation options. So we can translate this into one of these many, many different languages. This database also lets us choose an interface language. And what that's going to do is change the, you know, the different wording. Like instead of date, it would, if you were, you know, changed it to Spanish, I believe it would say fecha. If I still remember my Spanish. We can also change the font size. So we can make it tiny, and this is obviously for readability. Here we have those display options that I mentioned previously. We can change the background, and this is one of the few databases that offers this in-depth word spacing, letter spacing, and so on. Here we have the option of listening to the article. And it's loading.
Scientists using new sound tech to save animals from extinction. 2024, August 18th. Vertical news by a news reporter, staff news.
All right, I'm going to stop that. You get the idea. We can also send this to Google Drive. We can send this to Microsoft OneDrive. We can email, download, print. In the upper right corner, or I should say the bar sort of along the top, we have the cite option where we can choose the format we want this article cited in. We can copy and paste it. We can send it to Google Drive. We can send it to Noodle Tools, really use it however you need to. We also have those sort of retrieval options up at the top. That's all I'm going to say at this point, because I'm hoping to get into another database. But any questions about this? And this is, remember, this is just an example of one of the 59 databases available in here. I'm going to go back to the ELM portal. I just want to make sure I'm not missing any questions. So for students, I mean, these tabs are pretty self-explanatory. You know, for students, we have the option to select elementary, middle, high school, college. Obviously, the reading level is going to increase. You know, if you're working with some ESL students, maybe elementary might be a great place to start. I am going to take a moment to go into Britannica School Elementary, but I just wanted to mention a couple other things. This is where this tab, News and Magazines, if you want to access ProQuest US News Stream, that's where you're going to find yesterday's issue of the Star Tribune, today's issue of the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, and so on. Looking for anything relating to health, medicine, drug information, this is going to be the tab you want to click on. I am going to talk about this one, job and career skill building, tomorrow. Okay, we have a question. Does the database link to resources that you'd have to pay for to view? No, this is all free. There's nothing that you are going to have to pay for. There are no links within databases that will take you to a paywall at all. This link, ebooks, this is going to take you into eBooks Minnesota. If you are looking for a specific publication, whether it's Newsweek, Time, Bon Appetit, whatever it is, this is where you can search for it to see if it's available in one of these databases. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a search for reading teacher, and I'll click search. And this goes into this database that searches all of the publications in these ELM databases. And here it's coming up with what I was looking for, the reading teacher. It is a peer-reviewed journal. And then down below, it's showing full text access. So these 4 databases offer full text access going back to, it looks like February 1st of 1990. And that's another thing to keep in mind. A lot of these databases offer full text for publications going back to, some of them are like the early 1900s or the first published issue. But let's just go ahead and, so full text, okay. So what it's telling me is that we can access the reading teacher going back to 1990 to present. However, there is something called an embargo. So it's saying full text delay 1 year. So the publisher is not willing to give us the full text of the current year because they're going to lose money. But we can access it. I guess it would be what? August 13th, 2023. But by clicking on one of these database links, it's going to take you directly into the publication information. And we've got our issue tree here. So I can see it's giving us, I think, the citation and article information, but no full text. But if we wanted to, I'm going to click on 2024. So here we've got all of the articles in the July-August 2024 issue. But again, remember that embargo, these are not full text. Every publication's different. It really just depends on the publisher. Okay, I've got a question here. When I choose eBooks Minnesota K-5 collection, it looks like I can do an advanced search, books by reading grade level. But when I choose a level, it doesn't filter out other titles. Am I missing something? We can take a look at that. Okay, so I did just want to point out that find a publication. So just know that that's available if you are looking for a specific publication. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just go into eBooks. Okay, and so here we've got links to eBooks Minnesota, which contains all of those approximately 10,000 titles. And then we have separate links to just the elementary level collection, separate link to just the middle school collection. So let's go into the elementary level. There are about 7,500 ebooks for grades K-5 or 6 here. Okay, so you went to the advanced search, chose a level, and it didn't filter out. And I'm not sure which grade level you chose. So basically what we would want to do is, so I'm just choosing like reading grade level, like kindergarten through 1st grade, using the slider bar, and it took us down to 482 titles. So I'm not sure, maybe you didn't use the slider bar, not sure. But now we've got, you know, these 482 books that are basically like beginning reader books. And, you know, you can see we've got this one in Spanish and English, same, and some of others you will definitely see here. And we've got some guided reading books. Let's see, I'm going to click. So I think all of these, let's see, guided reading, but you can limit by Lexile level, number of pages, language. Let's just take a look. I'm going to click this one, Animals in Spring, open now. And here we've got the book. It's a matter of clicking into it, and then we are brought with this sort of navigation bar. So we can use the slider bar to get, you know, to a specific page. We can also use this, this is sort of the read speaker button here.
Animals in Spring by Catherine Clay, Little, trademark, trade.
You can change,
Animals in.
you can change the speed that the person's speaking. You can also change the gender of the voice. When I click into the book and I see these 3 little lines, that's sort of the international, I don't know, it's a menu, but this is where I can view the table of contents. You know, maybe I was just looking for, I just want the information on when the babies are born. So I can go right to that page. I can also search the text of a book. So maybe I want to search this for eggs, and then it gives me information. So I can just pop to those pages that have the word eggs. And then you can see it highlights our word. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the menu. I'm going to close this book. Okay, I've got just a few minutes left. Can any of the books be printed? No, they cannot. I don't think there is even a way within eBooks Minnesota to print them. Let's see. Okay, so that's a quick glimpse at eBooks Minnesota. But you have the option of, you know, I could go home. This is eBooks Minnesota for schools. We've got information on setting up an account. And what that lets you do is it allows you to download an app. You can use any of these. You can use eBooks Minnesota on any web browser. You don't have to have an app. But there is an app, and that information is available where it says account setup instructions. Okay, another question. For some reason, when I do the slider for the reading level, it doesn't limit the books like it did when you did it. Maybe I can share my screen with you after the session is over. Yeah, I'm interested to know why that's happening. Okay. Questions about eBooks Minnesota?
Beth, I saw a question in the chat earlier asking if there are any audiobooks.
Right, no, there are not.
However, you did show that there's audio with some materials, correct?
Right, so
Okay.
I'm gonna just go into the regular eBooks Minnesota. So this is all of the books. Currently, there is one audio book, but this is a program of One Book, One Minnesota. And so it's just gonna be available, I think, for like another 6 weeks. It's sort of a statewide reading program and we host it. So there is currently just this one audio book. But when I go to, I'm going to click on all resources, and now I've got these limiters or these sort of advanced search options. When I click on more, I do have read-alongs. There's 55 read-alongs, and there are 6 narrated books. These read-alongs are really kind of nice. Oh, let's take a look at, oh, how about this one? And I'll give you an idea. So you can see it's got background noise. It's kind of like it's kind of an audiobook.
Panchan. Panchan are the many shared dishes of kimchi, seasoned vegetables, meats, grilled fish, and stews, served alongside personal bowls of rice on a Korean table.
So yeah, so there are options, and most of the books have that read speaker option. It's just some of them are a little fancier and they have these narrations. I'm just going to close that. Okay, question. My problem is when I do the audio, it covers the text that may be at the bottom. Okay, so basically all you have to do is just click into the book. So if I go back to eBooks Minnesota, if we open a book, and I click in it, yeah, that navigation, that gray navigation bar blocks a lot of stuff. But what
Cover
you
all
can
news,
do,
Barefoot Gardening,
if-
3rd edition, fully updated, more projects, new solutions, grow
Click
vegetables
back
anywhere. Mel
into the
Bartholomew
book.
with.
And that will go away. So it's just a matter of, I'm just clicking my mouse. So I can make that gray bar go away. I can make it appear. Okay, let's see. Great, thanks. Okay, I just have 5 minutes left and I wanted to save that for questions. Let's see.
Beth, I'm not seeing any questions in the chat, so I'm going to ask my question.
Yeah.
And I just checked, a popular resource for low-level English language learners is a series called Bow Valley Readers. And I
Okay.
just checked to see if in the find a publication, I didn't find it. Do you take suggestions for materials to add?
We do. And I'm going to go to that. I'm going to pull that up. Bear with me. Okay. I will put the link in the chat. I just have to remember where it is. Okay, about eBooks Minnesota. So yeah, right here, I will put this link in the chat. And we do have, it says, can I request a book be purchased? Oh, here, can I suggest a title be purchased? So it's just a form you would fill out.
Very cool. Another question in the chat is,
What is the maximum
yes,
numbers of readers at one time? For most of the materials, it's unlimited. What we're trying to do is purchase titles that don't have any licensing, like we're trying to purchase primarily multi-user perpetual titles. However, some of the books we are kind of testing out and seeing, you know, what works best, will allow for perhaps 20 people, sometimes 30, and sometimes 5. It really depends on the title. If it's something, you know, if you're thinking, okay, I want to use this book with my entire class of 50 people, either let me know and I can double check it for you, or let's see. When we go in here, I'm just gonna see if I do have a list here that says featured group, limited user access titles. So these are titles that were purchased for in a limited number. So for example, Becoming, I think we can have maybe 15 people reading that book at the same time. So you can see some of them are, and this just really depends on the publisher. A lot of times the publishers will not offer, in most cases, they won't offer a multi-user simultaneous perpetual license. All right, does each student in class need their own account? No, you do not need an account to access any of the things except what I'll be talking about Thursday. And I'll cover that tomorrow. So for eBooks Minnesota, you don't need an account. If you choose to create one, that's going to be up in the upper right corner, log in. And that just gives you some extra features. It allows you to create your own personal bookshelf. It allows you to create notes and highlight pages. So it just adds a little bit more personalization. It also allows you to use the app. So in order to use the app, you do need to create or register for an account. But no, students do not need an account. And students do not need an account if they want to access eLibrary Minnesota. Do any of the resources have comprehension questions? No, they do not that I'm aware of. Would be great resource for smaller reading groups with volunteers. Thank you. We'll share this out for sure. Awesome. All right. It looks like I'm at time. So
yes.
I just want to say thank you so much. We do offer professional development or instruction at no cost. So do not hesitate to reach out to me or any one of these emails if that's something that you're looking for.
All right.
Thank you so much.
I'm just going to stop the recording here and let everybody know what is next.
All right, I'm gonna head out.
Okay. Thank you, Beth. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. I'll see you later.
Next is the session with the state of Minnesota, the updates, and that is at 11:15.
All righty, Megan. I'll see you later.